about mindfulness of emotions and why that is important and how you can best manage them. So what are emotions? Well, they're like energy. They are actually, emotion, energy in motion. You've probably heard this, but really it's just like thoughts where, the thoughts are movements of the mind and emotions are energy often in the body. And we feel them as a felt sense experience in the body. So these emotions, why do you even need to get a grip on these? Why do you even need to understand this movement of energy within you? Well, you've probably noticed that these emotions can cause us quite a lot of suffering when we don't deal with them effectively. We can often feel like they arise without our control, and then they overtake us. And then we tend to become the emotion. So we get triggered by something, or we even just think about an old story, and some kind of feeling arises and it overtakes us. And no longer are we able to be the observer of this experience of what's happening in our body, but we have become completely the emotion, absorbed into it, and we've lost that perspective. So just like when we are observing our thoughts, we want to learn to become the observer of our emotions. And the main reason is that we want this distance. We want this perspective so that we can suffer less. Because just like with thoughts, our emotions have the same quality. Our emotions have the same quality in so much as I bet you've never seen an emotion. I bet you've never touched an emotion. In fact, if you went into your body right now and you tried to locate an emotion, you can even just try and do this now. If there's a feeling that you're having right now, which as a sentient being, you are definitely having some feelings right now, I just want you to go into your body right now and see if you can locate a feeling. So maybe, sometimes if we feel anxious, for example, we can feel that in our chest, or sometimes we can feel it in our throat. But I just want you to go in now and locate an emotion or feeling that you're having right now. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. I just want you to go to the part of the body in which you are experiencing this emotion right now. And when you go to that part of the body, I want you to look even more closely. Look even more closely into that part of the body where you're experiencing that emotion and see if you can actually locate it within your body. So is it in a particular cell? Is it in a particular organ? And if it is it in a particular fiber of that organ? Where does it actually start, this feeling or this emotion? Where's the middle of it? And then where does it end? Keep looking. And what you'll notice after some time, when you keep looking and you keep looking and you keep looking into the very specific nature of this emotion or this feeling, is that it is actually unfindable. It doesn't actually exist tangibly. There's nothing solid about it. It doesn't have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because where does it go once you've had one? It's a bit like a cloud. Clouds look so real. They look so real when we look at them in the sky, don't they? But the clouds are empty. And we know this because you've been in a plane and you've flown straight through a cloud. And so you know that the quality of the cloud is actually utterly empty. It's intangible. It appears real, but is insubstantial, like light. Appearing real, but insubstantial. And your emotions are exactly the same. They have the same quality. They appear real, they arise, and we experience them, They stay for some time, and then they just pass away. Just like the clouds. The clouds, they come, they're there in the sky, and they stay for some time, and then they just pass away, and they go back to wherever they came from. Our emotions have this same quality. And if we can train ourselves to observe the feelings as they arise, observe the emotions as they arise, rather than over-identifying with the emotions and becoming the emotions and thinking that we are that emotion, rather than it just being a movement of energy that is arising in our sense experience. If we can train ourselves to do this, we suffer so much less. Because what happens is that when we experience an emotion, one of two things generally happens. It's a pleasurable emotion, and therefore we crave more of it. If it's pleasurable or we've judged it as good, right, or positive, we're going to want more of it. And this is going to create some grab. Oh, that was such an amazing meal. Oh my God, I just want that all the time. That glass of wine was amazing. Oh my God. And then I want that all the time. And the mind, as soon as we've judged it as good, positive, or right, and there's an associate, so there's a judgment of the mind, and there's an associated feeling of, oh yeah, that was a pleasurable feeling. Then the mind wants more of that, and it hooks on. And that's when you go, oh, I think I'll have that glass of wine again tomorrow. Or I want that, whatever that thing is, again. Trouble with that is that these attachments create grab. And then the moment that pleasurable thing is gone, we suffer. Oh no, that thing is over. Oh, I'm back to reality, supposedly. Or I'm back to normal. Or I'm back to this mundaneness, because I'm not having this blissful, pleasurable feeling that my mind has grabbed onto. The other thing that happens if we don't have a pleasurable feeling is that we tend to judge it as bad, wrong, or negative. So the mind has come in with a judgment, and then there's an associated feeling with that. Displeasure, distaste, discomfort. Oh, don't like that. Oh, bleh. Get it away. It's painful. If something is painful, or it has a bitter taste to the quality of that interaction or that email or that thing that somebody said or that thing that happened, whatever it was, or it might have been even physically painful or just very emotionally difficult, then we create aversion, or we want to avoid it. We want to avoid pain, and we want to seek pleasure. Now, what's the problem with this? It means that we are hooked, always in this pendulum of seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. And these are patterns of the mind. And they then end up determining the way that we respond to absolutely everything. And it happens instinctively, and we're not in control. We don't have the mastery. When we're stuck in this pattern, this ordinary mind of craving and aversion, we are in a low vibration. We're operating on autopilot, and it's habitual thinking, it's habitual responses. And we want to break this. We want to break these habitual responses, this autopilot way of being in the world, because it creates suffering. The moment something pleasurable is gone, we suffer. And the moment we react with aversion, we're creating suffering with that aversion. Oh God, that's so painful. That's so distasteful. Oh my God, the way that they said that to me, and I can't believe he did that, and she said this, and then that. And we've created aversion. We're basically wanting to distance ourselves from this distasteful, uncomfortable, painful experience. And because we do that, we create suffering. So the moment we have aversion, we create suffering for ourselves. And often that suffering stays, it lingers, because the mind comes in with an unhelpful story, which it has become attached to, and it replays that story. So even though that uncomfortable, distasteful, painful event is over, you're still suffering because the mind has grabbed onto it and keeps replaying that story over and over and over again. And that's how we make ourselves suffer even more. So although the event may have only lasted a short time, our suffering lingers because of the aversion. So rather than accepting everything as it is in the moment, we want to make it into something else, or we want to avoid it. So this lack of acceptance of everything as it is in the moment is what sets us up. It sets us up for this perpetual cycle of suffering. And this is why we want to become mindful of the emotions, just like we want to become mindful of the thoughts. Because becoming mindful of the emotions gives us an indication of whether we are creating craving or we're creating aversion. So the moment we are aware of the emotion that is associated with probably some type of story, we can feel, oh, very pleasurable. I'm going to create craving here, in which case I'm in this cycle again, and I'm going to set myself up for suffering, because the moment that craving or that pleasure is gone, I'm going to suffer again because it's not here now. I see I'm creating aversion here because I'm trying to create distance between this painful experience and myself. I'm therefore not accepting reality as it is now. I'm going to set myself up again, because every time I create this aversion, I'm creating these uncomfortable feelings for myself. And that is actually what keeps us stuck. The repetition of the same feelings, we condition those into our body, and that's how we get into a pattern. So not only do we have the patterns of the mind where we are thinking the same things over and over, repeating the same stories, they get reinforced with the feelings. And if we're not mindful of the feelings that we're creating, and no doubt they'll be the same feelings that you've had over and over again, then we don't realize that we keep patterning in and we keep conditioning in the same experiences to happen again and again. For example, if we create aversion to anything, it doesn't even matter what it is, the feeling of aversion or the feeling of avoidance then becomes a pattern of mind. So the moment something is uncomfortable, rather than staying with the discomfort, we want to avoid it. And that becomes a pattern of the way that we deal with everything in life. So you might have heard that saying, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you keep patterning in avoidance or aversion to discomfort, to pain, to displeasure, things that are distasteful, you will naturally respond that way to everything that falls into that realm. So the moment that you come up against anything uncomfortable, you'll immediately react with aversion. The problem with this is that we don't want to keep carving that pattern in. We actually want to be able to accept everything as it is in the moment and be able to face it head on. And we want to be able to learn to stay with the discomfort. Because just on the other side of the discomfort is where you want to be, because that is the mastery. The mastery is to notice the feelings, to notice the stories, but don't react. Because that's where you're in the driver's seat, when you don't react to this stuff. But the only way that we can learn to not react to it is to first become aware. That is always our first step, is awareness. Now, this is why we do this in the meditation. We want to practice this mindfulness of emotions in the meditation and when we're off the cushion in our everyday life, so that we start to increase our level of self-awareness. And with this increased level of self-awareness, then we are presented with more of choice, because what you're not aware of, you can't change. But once you become aware, then you start to have some more power and some more control. You're like, I'm actually aware of that now. I have a choice. I have a choice of how I'm going to respond. Do I want to allow that emotion to completely overcome me and become that emotion and respond habitually the way I've always responded, carving in that same pattern over and over again, and I'm pretty sure I know what the outcome's going to be? Or what if I did something different? What if I noticed I was having that emotion, I was noticing I was having that feeling, but I chose something different instead? Now, at that moment, when you have that mastery of choosing something different in the moment, not avoiding it and not craving it, not moving toward it, not moving away, but just staying really present with everything that's going on in that moment. You stay fully present with yourself. You don't shut down. You don't check out. You don't abandon yourself or distract yourself with something else. You just stay fully present in that moment with everything that's going on, and you choose something different. That is the moment of change. That is the moment that you reprogram your brain. That is the moment that you condition your body for something completely different. You go into a new realm. You're now in the realm of possibility. You're not in the realm of autopilot habitual thinking. You're actually becoming someone new. You're becoming someone different because you're responding differently. And this is the mastery that comes with living in the present moment, with being so present to everything that is happening, rather than craving more pleasure, moving towards something else, or moving away from displeasure, discomfort. Instead, what we want to do is we just want to stay. We want to train ourselves to just stay and don't react. Don't react with craving. Don't react with aversion. Just learn to keep the mind steady and stay right here, so present in this moment, because that's where all the opportunities are, here in the present moment, when we have all the choice and we can choose something different. And then that's when our life becomes amazing, because we have this mastery, we have this choice. So this is really how we learn to manage our emotions more successfully. We learn to become more present with them, and therefore we start to manage them more successfully. And what you start to notice is that the more present you become with your feelings and with your emotions, rather than distracting yourself, shutting down, checking out, avoiding them, which is probably, what you might have been doing for quite a long time. Instead, you start to become present with yourself, and you start to notice that you make different choices and that your life starts to take a different track, that you're now in the driver's seat of your life and you are consciously choosing, how do I want this to go? Rather than feeling like your life is out of your hands. So this is where we're going with this. And in today's meditation, I just want you to become mindful of any emotions that are arising for you. Any emotions that are arising for you, just like you have become mindful of any thoughts. And if emotions do arise for you in the meditation, which often does happen, because when you sit still, this is the time when feelings that you might have been pushing down, trying to squash, that's when they have the opportunity to come up. Now, this is a good thing, because as these emotions come up, which you might have been trying to repress because, you didn't have the capacity to deal with them, or because it just wasn't the right time, or because they were just simply too uncomfortable to deal with. What we want to do, instead of squashing them down in the meditation, and this is in life as well, but we practice here on the cushion. Instead of squashing them down and ignoring them and pushing them away, which is aversion, instead of creating more aversion, What we want to do is accept them as they are. We want to allow them to express themselves, and we want to observe them do this. Just like the clouds, they're going to arise, stay for some time, and then they're going to pass away and go back to wherever they came from. Who knows where that is? Back into the ether of emotions. Who knows? So this is what we're going to practice in today's meditation. We're still going to use the breath as our main meditation object, but you're going to have this different view of what do I do with my emotions if they arise whilst I'm meditating. So what you're going to do is you're going to observe them arise. Just keep observing them. Stay for some time. Don't engage. Do your best not to react. Don't engage, and just let them pass away, and you return to the breath. While they're doing that process, you don't squash them, deny them, push them away. You just allow them to express themselves. You're just observing. You're just standing on the beach, watching the waves. You don't have to become the waves of emotions. You just watch them